Hi everyone, it's Andy from Hobby Headquarters. Today we're going to be building the border models 1/35th scale Messerschmitt Bf109. And this first video on that kit is going to involve building, painting, and weathering the engine and most of the cockpit. This way a couple of videos will be able to get a little bit more depth on how the kit goes together and doing some painting and detailing as well. So let's get started. Okay, I'm gluing up the engine block to start off our Messerschmitt Bf109 in 35th scale from Border Models. And you can see we're starting to glue all of the engine block together. And a bunch of different parts we need to put on here. And we won't spend too much time with the building process because there's not a ridiculous number of parts, but some really nice stuff. I'm still putting together a few of the little sub-assemblies on here. When we're attaching the back of the engine here, you want to be very careful too, because there is a pin inside here that is going to hold this in place, but the secondary thing that holds it in place is the cannon that fires through the engine block. So before you completely glue it into place, you want to make sure that this is going to line up so you'll be able to have this when you're actually done with it. And this whole assembly for the most part is going to be black based on all the pictures that I found on the internet. There are a lot of different pictures on it, but the majority of them show this black, so that is what we're going to go ahead and paint that. So I'm going to get those two glued on and paint this entire piece black, and then we'll start putting all the other little accessories on there. Okay, now that the black has dried, I'm taking a little bit of Tamiya's new lacquer paint in titanium silver. Don't want it to be super bright. And we're painting some of the little pieces on the engine that, at least in the pictures that I've seen online, and I tried to get at least 3 or 4 pictures of the same engine to see what parts are what color. For the most part, they're all a black color, and then there are a few little areas here and there that are painted, or not painted, or actually just bare metal, which I am going ahead and doing right now with a real fine paintbrush, including the spinner hub. I know this is all going to get covered over later, but as a demonstration, we're going to just have it all looking kind of like what the engine is supposed to on it. I'll put that down for 1 second and we'll finish that up in a minute. But I've also gone ahead and done these, and I've painted them in 2 different color metals, a brighter silver on the top and then the titanium silver on the bottom. In the camera, it's kind of hard to see. They are a little bit noticeable in person. And then once that gets dry and the rest of this gets dry, we'll be able to go ahead and mount that into place on the side here, kind of weave it around all these other little things. So I am going to finish this up, touch that up, and do any of the other parts that need to be painted metal color, and then we will put those on next. Okay, now we can go ahead and attach the heads on the top of the engine, and followed up by this piping. Now, I did see one picture that had some different color piping on that, and I thought rather than just make this whole engine just look all black, we want to add a little detail. So I saw one that had kind of a bluish gray, and I go, that's what we're going to go ahead and put on this one. So that is what is going to get attached right just like that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit more highlighting, and we're using a little metallic pigment powder, and the best thing I found for the pigment powder is finger, and just lightly make all this little detail stuff pop right out. And then if there are ever any areas that are hard to get your finger into, you can always use just a soft brush with a little bit of that metallic powder on it. Now I am going to go ahead and attach all of the exhaust on here. Now I've gone ahead and painted them a red-brown base color because we're going to do our weathering right on top of that. And each one of these pieces are individual and separate, and that is because they are molded hollowed out. Let me see if I can get that show you right there. So those are all hollowed out on it. The biggest thing you're going to be careful for is keeping all 6 of them in a very straight line. So on the other side here, I've put these on already. What I found is that when you're done gluing them, that you can go ahead and, if you have a pair of clamping tweezers, you can go ahead and put those on there, put the clamp a little bit, not too much, and let them dry in place just like that. And that's how I did this particular side over here. So it doesn't take too long, but remember, this brown color, red-brown color, is just the base. We're going to do a little weathering over that. So let me get these last 5 in there and we'll begin the weathering. And now that that is dry, we are just taking some dark rust wash and going to put it over and here is what it'll look like once that dries. And since we're doing on that side, I'm also going to take some black panel liner and run it all along any of these metal parts. And once it dries, you can see how the engine comes along. With the engine drying over there, we can start working on the cockpit, just like that. And we're going to get the majority of parts glued into place here and then paint it mostly as one color inside there and then do all of our detail work. Okay, here is the most of the cockpit, as well as the engine supports here. Now everything from the firewall this way towards the cockpit is going to get painted with RLM 66, black gray, and everything from the firewall this way, all of the engine supports, are going to get painted RLM 02, gray, as well as the instrument panel. Now, a little disappointed in the kit. There are no decals, there are no nothing for the instrument panel. So we're going to paint it just the regular gray, and then we're going to search out to see if we can maybe find some of the new resin 3D printed decals that have some nice depth to it and are already colored that we'll be able to put in its place right here. But for right now, we're going to just go ahead and paint it. Okay, we've got the majority of the weathering and painting done on this portion of the cockpit, and I've just put a little bit of super glue into the two mounting holes on either side. The long part of the cannon here is going to slide into this hollowed out chamber here, and it's just a matter of rocking it back and forth until it pops in there. The mounting brackets will slide right inside just like that, making sure they make contact. And of course we'll let the glue dry completely. We'll put that down for 1 minute, and here is our machine guns. Remembering now there are no decals or any other type of stuff that we put in there, so I've just done a little light weathering on that. We're going to work on trying to get either some kind of instruments or something else for the future. So this will get glued into place right here, just like that. And finally, there are no cockpit seatbelts in here, but that is not a big problem because inside this kit there's a beautiful resin figure that comes inside there, and he already has his seatbelt on. And here is the pilot in the cockpit. You can see how well he fits right in there. Spin around this side. There we go. So guys, that is going to complete this first video where we do the most of the cockpit and the engine. And next up we will start working on the fuselage. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you as always for watching, and please stay tuned because we have many more videos coming.